different would your business be if you knew what your prospects were going to say, how they were going to respond or react in some cases, what they were going to do next before they even knew it? Now, a lot of people say, "Well, Dan, that's tough. That's how can I do that? Everybody's a different person. Everybody operates at a different capacity." Yes, that's true. But here's the thing: there's two really big key indicators when an individual is moving from an amateur to a pro, right? And this has, in my opinion, personally, it has zero to do with longevity in our business. I don't care if you've been in transportation and logistics for 20 years, there's still amateurs in this business after 20 years. There's still people who focus on this type of business model, who get to a certain level, who, like I say, plateau, who get to a comfortable level, then they coast. Then they lose a client, then they go into survival mode, then they get commission breath, and then they do it all over again. And they don't actually set forth and say, okay, I never want to experience that again. So that's what I mean by the amateur. Then you have the pro. And somebody could be a pro literally 6 months into this business. There's no reason why not. Now, they might not have the long term experience and will need to lean on somebody that might have long term industry experience for a little bit of the back end. But to move through a sales cycle quickly, to really qualify customers quickly, to identify tire kickers quickly, to know how to move a conversation from one point to next, my friend, that's easy stuff after 6 months, 3 months. Hell, if you really want to get down and dirty with it, after like 2 months, right? So that this first thing that we're talking about, that really is the one of the two first indicators that you're moving from an amateur to a pro, is called the power of prediction. Now, the second one we're not going to get into today. We'll get into that on another lesson. Today, I want to strictly focus on the power of prediction. So, like I said at the beginning, where would you be if you knew the answers that your customers were going to have to your questions before they even answered? I mean, how much more prepared would you be to be able to bring that customer to the next phase in your sales cycle? Because if you remember a couple of weeks ago, we talked about the sales cycle, right? So let's go into it right away. Why don't we? So if your sales cycle looks something like this, right? And then your gold is obviously, let's call it the client attainment, right? So you want to move them through these as fast as possible, or at least, if you're talking about from an actual, sales sequencing perspective, this would be your qualifying stage, really identifying if they're your ideal customer, if there's somebody you really want to spend a lot of time with. See, because this is one thing the real pros do, is they're just as selective of their customers as their customers are of them. How many times have you spent hours and hours and hours and dealt with an individual you really didn't like to deal with, right? That's going to hinder your sales. It's going to hinder your sales cycle. It's going to hinder your entire business. But let's get back to predicting. So here's your qualifying stage. So what I'm talking about is in this stage, in this stage, in this stage, and in this stage. What if you had yourself here, okay? And right now, we're not sure about what flag. However, every time you go out to have a conversation with somebody, you have X customer who says, you know what, I fly this flag. You have X customer who says, I fly this flag. You have X customer who says, I fly that flag. That's a cool flag. And then you have X customer who says, yeah, my flag is like that. Now, let's look at this for a moment. So let's say that this is price. Let's say that this one here is, let's just call it visibility, right? Let's say that this one is capacity. And let's just, for argument's sake, let's just call this one, well, let's go with relationship, right? Now, if you are sitting on this level and you're saying to yourself, how am I going to jump through from here to here to here as quick as possible in order to get to the gold, which is here? you're going to need to understand that when they say price, you have the comments, questions, concerns, and backgrounds. Almost, I call it the 8 Mile theory. And if you've ever seen 8 Mile with Eminem, but his like up and coming before he actually became famous, you'll see at the end in this battle rap at the end, it's like my favorite scene. Gary Vee talks about this a lot actually too. Where he says, okay, this guy's a Tom, this guy's this guy's that, and he goes through his whole crew, and then he kind of looks at him, and he drops the mic, and he says, okay, what do you got to say now? Right? This got me go, wow, okay, what if I could do that with my sales? Like, what if I can go through a sequence or put all of my prospects through a sequence, a series of questions, an order of questions, a reverting back, and not veering off track? I would understand what they say. Not only will I understand what they say, but I'll get their rebuttals, if you will, and then I'll be able to perfect my response to those rebuttals. So if I really understood you and understood, okay, there's typically 4 answers you're going to give me here. So I'm going to be prepared for all 4. And I'm just waiting for you to give me the answer that I already know is coming. It allows me to better formulate my response, and it allows me to better deliver it with precision, with accuracy, with accountability, with integrity, with honesty, and everything forth, which then you as the prospect will say to yourself, okay, well, at this point, hey, I mean, I'm good to go. I can make that happen, right? Because you're moving forward in that sales cycle. So let's look at this for a second. What all of this means is this means something along the lines of this. So this is a very simple thing I put together just about 3, 4 weeks ago, I guess. I put one together a couple months ago on LinkedIn. But if you look at this is from a series of sales calls I made. So in the first one, the individual said, not in the market right now, just getting back to the day to day, right? So to me, I looked at that and I said, oh, what's going on here? Oh, I got to get rid of this. That's right. To me, I looked at that and I said, okay, I used the response I have on the screen. But what I did afterwards is I started refining that response, because not looking at, we're just getting back into the day to day. Okay, I understand that a lot of companies are just getting back on track. Do they really want to talk about switching traffic providers or incumbents or whatever? Some do, because they've realized there's holes in their present provider. Some don't. So that was a new one to me. So I jotted down, and I jotted down the answer, which you'll see here. So based on that answer, I said, perfect. Now is a really good time to make improvements, then more opportunity to get everything the way you need it before kind of that second half of the year, and before things all of a sudden really, really take off. Now what I've done is I have that down, as you would then normally see in one of these different positions, and now I've created a 5th sequence that I know the flag my customer chooses to fly. That, in the long and short, is the power of predicting. So here's what I'm going to suggest that you do. 2 things. One, come up with a real strong series of questions. I prefer a question that kind of provides a two-way answer, so I can always, expand on one or two. It just expands the conversation. Like if your conversation, let's go back here for a second. If your conversation starts here with a single question and you can only get one answer, you kind of got to go in that straight line. But if you can get 2 answers to your questions and then you keep doing that, you see how exponentially the conversation can come down. All of a sudden, by the third tier of questions, you've got 8 different routes you can go in the sales call, right? So imagine if you start with a singular route, and then you move to 8 different things you can talk about to keep that conversation going, to move that individual through the sales cycle. So that's why I always do it. And then what I do is I take a piece of paper, and without a doubt, I jot down every single answer to the question. When they ask me a question, I try and jot down in short form what I said. And as I go through the day, and as I go through my sales, you'll see by the end of a week of doing this, like if you dedicate yourself to do this for 1 week, at the end of the week, you'll look at your answers and you'll go, holy shit. I have so much gold here to move my business so far forward. It's unbelievable. We see so many times we just pick up the phone. I gotta call, I gotta call, I gotta call, I gotta call. And there's no real rhyme or reason. You're just calling looking for business. You're not calling looking to solve something, or you're not calling with a specific sequence and understanding of when I say this, they're going to say that. Literally, I'm telling you right now, just as sure as it's going to get dark tonight, you, after a week to 2 weeks, you will have every answer you ever need to move your prospects through your sales cycle so much faster. If they don't move through your sales cycle, you will literally qualify them in under 2 minutes. And then you can identify, are these is this individual, is this prospect, is this company, do they have the underneath, right, values, ethics that I want as a company to work with? Does this individual really fit my client profile? And you can do that so fast. And the beautiful thing is, if they don't, you just, okay, fine, thank you. You know what? I'm sorry. We're just kind of not compatible. We don't align. Have a great day. And you move on. Now you can instantly say to yourself, okay, that's good. That was a good that was a good test call. Next, next, next. Until next time, my friend, I hope this helped. It was kind of a fast one. I got a call I got to be on in 4 minutes, but I wanted to come to you and make sure I stuck with the Monday, Wednesday, Friday lives for you guys. So, again, go out there, make every call educational, and crush your sales. And do yourself the favor. Start learning to predict what your prospects will say. It's going to change your business forever. Have a great weekend, everybody. Take care.